Studios and networks are scared of doing anything new and they're moving away from it. Does this open the door for continuations and reboots that actually we would quite like? Welcome to the Tachyon Pulse podcast, part of the scitrek family.
Our tachyon pulse has been unable to completely penetrate the anomaly.
It's actually being reported that other than the years under COVID, this year is going to see the lowest number of new pilots ordered and new shows being ordered by networks and streaming providers. Historically, networks have always been pretty good at trying to push forward new shows, and actually one of the biggest shows last year, Tracker, was actually a brand new show and was one of the most popular things on the networks. So when a new show works, the evidence is they are popular. Streaming providers have historically, again, really been quite good at trying to push new shows forwards. Netflix has a sort of pastor at the wall sort of mentality when it comes to new shows sometimes. It does lots of new things. They last a season. Unless they're like Stranger Things level of success, they scrap them immediately and we never get to find out what happened next. It's so annoying. But this year, and definitely since the strikes and the contraction within Hollywood, we're seeing, in real terms, pilots and new shows at their lowest level they've ever really been. And the studios and the people we get to speak to over here at the Tachyon Pulse are telling us that the studios instead are pushing for things that they consider to be safer. And that is continuations, reboots, that sort of thing. We actually told you last week that Akiva Goldsman is looking to reboot The Land of the Giants, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, and Time Tunnel within a single universe, apparently. And we get to tell you here exclusively first lots of projects, for example, that Universal and Disney are really looking forward to doing a Firefly reboot. Something that really, if they can get Nathan Fillion on board, and it looks like he is very keen to do it, would be a ready-made success. Now, we talk about Stargate quite a lot on here, and we're hearing that at the moment a hard reboot and this going to theatres, a movie, is the most likely scenario. But we also are very aware that MGM and MGM Plus in particular have been really pushing for Stargate. They want to do a televised reboot. Now, we are aware that MGM doesn't have the budget it did. A few years ago, before the strikes, Amazon were looking to make MGM a standalone channel and were looking to really support it. But that support at the start of last year was removed and their budgets cut. This has basically meant that they can't move forwards with an expensive project like Stargate. So that's in limbo. But this news really does open that door back up. And to be honest, if Amazon have got any sense at all, and that it's true that they're looking for these reboots and continuations rather than new projects, something that in the past Amazon have been really keen to do. They have been really keen to look for new things rather than rebooting old things. Then this should make Stargate a priority. We're not hearing anything new on that at the moment, but it's something to worth keeping an eye on. Why are studios doing this? To be honest, it's all about confidence, and that executives don't have any. They are cowardly, if to be honest. And I think there's an element at the moment within Hollywood of a lack of confidence because the old things don't seem to work as well as they once did. The idea, streaming providers have been doing this for a while now, is that if you throw enough money at something, they will come. Them being us. But that idea doesn't work anymore. And things that should make money in their eyes, aren't. And particularly at the cinema, we're seeing this a lot with Marvel really struggling. I would say it's because the films aren't very good, but in their minds, they spent loads of money on it. People should watch. That you get things with big stars in sometimes, and even that doesn't seem to attract the people it once did. It does seem that Hollywood is really struggling to keep up with the changes in social media, and the fact that social media can make or break your project, like critics used to do back in the day. But to be honest, when critics came out and said, this film is terrible, I thought, what do critics know? And a lot of the time when critics came out and went, this film is amazing, I'm thinking, this is probably going to win the Oscar. It's probably boring and up its own arse. I think I'll give that a miss. I mean, I can count the amount of times. The Three Amigos was a film that I remember getting panned by the critics. Said it was the stupidest film ever made. It's one of my favourite comedies. I think it's a great film. And to be honest, that's just off the top of my head. There's a million other examples. Today, though, social media have overtaken that role. And they can make or break a project. Amazon, actually, I've had several people that work at Amazon and MGM tell me that internally they call it the rings of power problem. And this is something, again, if you're a regular sci-trekker, you'll have heard me talk about several times before. That actually they are really proud of what they did with rings of power. Yes, they spent a lot of money on it, but most of that money went on the rights and things. And they tried to produce something that was cinema level quality. But it didn't do as well as they hoped. Why? Because social media panned it really early on, and that spread an opinion among fans before anybody had even seen it. That opinion being that this was going to be a load of rubbish. A load of people shouted woke at it and that sort of thing as well, because we had dark-skinned elves, which, to be fair, they do have a point. The point here, though, is that social media panned it and it failed. And that is a stink that it's very hard for shows to recover from. It does seem that has created a real lack of confidence. But that lack of confidence is idiotic, because it is things like continuations and reboots that attracts the social media comments. Lord of the Rings is not a new thing. It's a new show based on the Lord of the Rings. So there was obviously going to be a lot of attention. When the Stargate reboot happens, there will be a lot of attention. RoboCop new series coming, attention, and so on and so on. When you have a new show, a new project, even if it's based on a book or something, there's not as much of attention. I can tell you guys now, I hear about new projects being announced. I do a video on it. Nobody watches it because nobody knows to watch it, if that makes sense. So I don't talk about new projects as much because there's no point. No one cares. And that's the problem. When executives are looking at new projects at the moment, unless they can attach a big name onto it, unless they can do something to make people care, they aren't going to do it. And until that changes, the confidence is just gone out of Hollywood. There is less money, budgets are shrinking, and that basically is going to really affect particularly sci-fi, because sci-fi is inherently expensive. They're going to only be bringing back things in the medium term that is going to trigger some interest. But it's a double-edged sword, because a lot of that time interest is going to be negative when it's a reboot. It just is. So, Hollywood, because of their lack of confidence, they're shooting themselves in the foot. The only thing that we can hope in the meantime is that maybe we get Stargate and Firefly and things like that out of it as well. Let's just hope. But guys, get into the comments to what you think. What is Hollywood's problem? Why can't they do new things? Am I right in saying that it's simply because people don't care, so they don't? Or do you actually think there's something more sinister going on? I'd love to know what you think. Please get to the comments. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. It really helps us out and you'll never miss any of our new videos. Also, you can go to patreon.com/scitrek where a lot of our new videos do premiere first and you get to see them without the adverts. Don't forget you can also become a member of this channel and see a lot of our videos way before everyone else on YouTube. As always, please stay safe and I'll see you next time.
Our tachyon pulse has been unable to completely penetrate the anomaly.